Welcome back, YouTube fans. This is my review of the robot Damashii RX-178 Mark II Gundam. Now, this is one of my favorite Gundams, so I thought it would be the first one I review. I really like this one. Now, as for accessories, it comes with 2 beam blades and beam sabers, 6 extra hands plus the 2 it's got for a total of 8. A very nice bazooka, which has a detachable clip, swivelable handle, back and forth, which is really nice. A beam rifle, which this is a really nice thing they put in. Not only does the stock move here for an extra grip, the clip comes off. There is, hold on one second, this sight here that can be flipped up on it. Let's zoom you in so you can see it. Which is really nice. There are 2 additional clips, both detachable on the shield here, and also other bits are detachable. For example, this section here can be removed entirely, and it can be slid back into this holstered position here. Oops. And it clips on to the arm via this little joint peg. So there isn't a hand grip on the shield like some, but that's in keeping with the series accuracy. They didn't have really a hand grip on it in that version. But as you can see, it's a really detailed figure. These little verniers here move back and forth. They're also the beam saber grips, and the sabers clip into it with a little slot here. So. And it detaches as well. Like a lot of the robot Damashii beam sabers. It's a very marked improvement compared to its predecessor, the MSIA series, Mobile Suits in Action. They got brought over to the US and sold in most toy stores. It's a really big improvement because some of the early ones had beam sabers built directly into their hilts. So they had static ones on their backs that couldn't be taken off, which was a real disappointment. As you can see, it's got ones with little grip fingers for guns, ones with a thumbs up kind of thing for the beam sabers, open palms as well as closed fists. So there's a variety of different hands for this one. Now, you may notice there's a base. That's not original. That's something I bought separately. So it's not part of the figure, just in case you're wondering. Now, the other nice thing is this little gun pod here on its head can be removed. It's really tricky though, so I'm not going to do it right now. But as you can see, nice flexibility, lots of moving parts, wide range of motion and moving panels. Something else I really like about this figure is this here. As you can see, lots of joints and internal parts are visible through it. There's a little hook here. This panel folds out for storing the bazooka on the back. And this part here is actually not part of the original figure. There was a flat panel there, but it is a major pain to get off. So I'm not going to switch it out. I never do, because it's part of the attachment points for the G-Defensor, which I also own. Now, this figure is one of my favorites. There is also the Titan's dark blue variant of it, which was its original paint scheme, but it was stolen by the AUG because it was a testbed for new design technology called movable frame in the original Zeta series. Unfortunately, although the armor is standard, it doesn't have anything else other than the movable frame to give it an advantage. It's lighter, faster, and more maneuverable and more flexible than your standard mobile suit of its time period, like the Galbaldi's or the other outdated mobile suits, the later model GMs, etc. But the newer mobile suits of the Titans, after they stopped using Hyzex and Marasize and started using things like the Hob, Robbie, and Galplank, which were more maneuverable and transformed, they couldn't keep up with it with this mobile suit. So they had to upgrade it. And to do that, they came up with a unique idea. The G-Defensor. Now this is basically a support fighter. It's fairly big, as you can see, though that is mostly this very large beam gun it's got. This one got flown a lot by Kotz, one of the original orphan kids from the White Base in the original Mobile Suit series. The Mark II Gundam got passed around a lot. Camille piloted initially, as well as Quattro, aka Char, and it eventually became Damashii's default mobile suit, simply because they didn't have any others that would work for her. But to keep up with the Titan's more advanced mobile suits in that they could transform, had more powerful weapons, and just their general psychotic behavior, they built this to fight them. It can detach its little front bit into a small fighter craft, which I don't understand why that's there, but as you can see, it's a nice little fighter. These little parts move up and down individually. These ones on the bottom, though, are linked together. Attachment point here. And there's also a little kickstand-like thing here. I'm not really sure why, but it's there. It's only armed with Vulcans on its nose section here, as you can see. So this thing's basically a coffin if you get hit in combat with it. I think it's mostly just to deliver it and then run away, but Kotz in the final episode decided to attack someone with it and got his fighter destroyed and smashed into an asteroid. Now, I'll just show you them. There's a few more parts, as you can see here. I don't use them very often, and one's the part that I took off the Mark II to put the attachment point on it. But let me just show you how this can attach. There's a couple of ways you can do it. This is your standard beam cannon. It's called a long beam rifle. There's a little flip-out hand grip there. It can actually be attached on either side, but I prefer it on that side. But the attachment point I mentioned here is what attaches to the back here. That's its main attachment point. It's pretty simple. Fold the wings in. You can actually pull out the pylons and manipulate them however you want. But one of the things you have to do is slide them down, as you can see. And this little plate folds up, so it can then be clipped onto the back. Now you can move the pylons any way you want to fit it in better. A lot of shots I've seen of the pylons have them to the side, but I don't always agree with that, mainly because the pylons also have a secondary weapon system. They're loaded with missiles. As you can see. So, yeah. Those missile pods are quite useful. But it just clips in here on the back. And if you give them the gun, oops. Didn't stay clipped on there. Oh, I see. The little clip on the back section popped off. But as you can see, there we have the Super Gundam. And with a combo of missile pods, as you can see on each pylon, they can be maneuvered around anyhow you want it, but you can also hold different weapons as well, or clip the beam rifle on the back here on one of these parts. But either way, it's a really cool, fun toy. I recommend it if you can get it. The problem is the G-Defensor was a robot Damashii web exclusive, so it's really hard to come by sometimes. I got lucky and got mine from an eBay seller for a fairly low price compared to what it normally goes for. But if you have the time, I recommend the Mark II Gundam. It's a fun, interesting mobile suit, and it is the second Gundam they ever really made. It was called the Mark II because it was quite literally that, the Mark II. Though, unfortunately, it's been retconned with additional series like the 8th MS Team, 0083 Stardust, and such, that it's no longer the second Gundam ever made, but those ones were wiped from history or used spare parts from the Mobile Suit Development Project. Oh, and here's a little landing gear stud you can flip out. Yeah, forgot about that. But all in all, it's really good. I recommend it, and any of the other ones really from Zeta are also worth getting. Zeta, the original Zeta, had really cool design aesthetics and really cool mobile suits. I can't say the same thing for Double Zeta. Some of the stuff's good, some of it's not as good. But either way you look at it, it's a cool series. Anyway, if you could, like and subscribe this video. Helps me out a ton. Leave comments below, especially if you want to know anything more or details about the figure. I'm always willing to let other people know anything they need to if they're looking to buy or they want information about these. Anyway, I'll see you all later. Ciao.